Alrighty, hello. Welcome, friends. My name is Don, and today I will be unboxing the new Shadows of Brimstone expansions. So I'm going to split this up into a couple of different videos just for the main two expansions. This one here, Valley of the Serpent Kings, uh, Gates of Valhalla, and then a couple of the other boxes that contain stuff for backers of the Kickstarter. So if you haven't heard of Shadows of Brimstone, this is a sort of a tabletop game, a dungeon delving adventure. Each player picks one of the four heroes that comes in the box and explores a dungeon. It has a bunch of tiles that, as you continue to explore, when you enter a new room, you draw a card and figure out which tile is next. You encounter monsters, find treasure, and then do it again with improved characters, grow levels, etc. So this is my first stream, my first time doing a YouTube video like such. So I'm gonna go ahead and just let it go and see how it happens. I'm gonna go ahead and start by cutting it open. Whoop. So on the back here, it's obviously got a bunch of pictures of the contents, showing that's what the little tiles look like, a bunch of the monsters and characters inside. So I should actually say this just came out. It was just released from the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter was in March of 2019. So I have been waiting for this box for 4 years now. Yeah, I'll go ahead and open it. Slide it on open. Here we go. All right, and I immediately met with some plastic miniatures. Looks like there are three serpent men here. Ooh, big old crocodile guys. Looks like we've had these guys before. They inhabit, I think, the swamps of Jangaro. But these look to be a little bit bigger, tougher, more elite. Let's see. Next we have carnivorous plants, I believe these are. I think there should be 6 of these in the box. 2 per sprue. We have some more serpent people. These ones are archers, it looks like. Another 6. Before we get to the heroes, so we've got some conquistador zombies. Can't get a good look at them on the sprue right now. Here. And that's another 6. And here we go. Here are the allies, more conquistadors. Again, not getting a great view of the front. And the last one, this is the XXL, I believe, monster. Looks like it's a big old crocodile. Excited to put that one together. And then lastly, we have the heroes. There are 4 of them on here. All right. So digging in, we have the instructions, how to put each of those together. I'll probably do that on stream later, so I can definitely hold on to this. I will need it later. Yeah, you can see how all of them are put together. All right. Next, we have the adventure book. So this will show you all of the different possible adventures that you could encounter. So generally, the game starts with. Let's see if I can find it here. They might not show it right away. That's not it. Well, I'm not finding it immediately. There is generally a tile that starts out the game. All the players put their characters down. You roll to see how far you move. When you get to the edge of the tile, you draw a card to pick up the next one. And each of these, well, so several of these pages will have different scenarios telling you what exactly you're looking for, how far you need to go into the old fort or whatever else. Got some cool little painting guides on here too. That's nice. I'll probably just do the box art painting, nothing too special. Oh yeah, this are camp daily events. So when you are not out adventuring, between your adventures, I should say, you can roll D36, which is, I believe, a D3 and a D6 to figure out what exactly is happening at the time. All right, next book is the rule book. So this tells you about all the rules. It's a fairly straightforward game. It has a lot of components, so just figuring out how to use them all in conjunction can take a little bit of time. I remember the first few times that I played, I didn't. I missed a rule that says whenever a combat encounter is done, you get a treasure card or something like that. So we were very underpowered for a while. So showing some of the hero cards. There is the 4 heroes. We have El Capitan, Duelist, Explorer, and Soldier. The depth tracker shows you how far you've gone or how much safety you have before things start getting chaotic. Lots of gear and artifacts. There's a monster card. Showing how movement works and enemy placement. Cool. All right. Here, let's see. Okay, so this looks like back with the original game, it was a Western. I think you had a sort of a Western town that you could explore and between adventures, do things, buy stuff. It looks like this might be the equivalent with a couple of spaces where you can buy upgrades to your camp. Let's see. Oh yeah, and here is the Conquistador camp card. So it shows a bunch of like hazards. Every night a different hazard can happen. I believe these are double-sided. Interesting. On the depth event chart, depending, like I said earlier, that depth tracker, depending on how far you are, different events can happen. It becomes more dangerous. Not sure what this one's for. Then around the campfire, looks like this is stuff that you can buy. On the back, more campfire. The expedition supplies. So again, you can buy more stuff. Looks like you can upgrade. Anchored ship, another place that you could spend the night at or whatever else. Buying more things. Injury chart. At the end of the adventure, if your character is taken out of action, I think you roll 2d6. It might say on there. Yeah, if you reach 0 health. Okay. So then you roll 2d6 and see what happens. You could totally lose the character, or you can possibly have some buffs. And on the back is the madness chart. Not only does your character have health to worry about, but their sanity. Same thing happens. If you run out of sanity, you're taken out of the game for then, and you could have your character dead. Let's see. Spanish Armory, more things to buy. From the back. And training grounds. It looks like this gives you new abilities. Oh, that's cool. All right, next. Lots of dice. Just a bunch of D6s. I know there are more in here, though. Aha. So this D8. I don't remember what the D8 is used for. It's been a while since I've actually played. But the yellow D6 there. It is not just 1 through 6. I think the lowest is 3. There's a couple 3s, a couple 4s, a 5, and a 6. This is actually used to determine how many monsters spawn. So if you get the carnivorous plants, there will be a card that you draw that'll tell you to roll. I'll pull those out later. That'll tell you to roll a dice to see how many you have. It could be one of these guys or two. You roll it, and then you have 3 monsters to place on the board. So speaking of which, we have the monster cards. The carnivorous plant, it has a normal side and a brutal side. Depending on your level, you'll usually start out with the normal sides, and as you level up, the adventures will get harder, or you'll get to a particularly difficult mission, and it'll have you use the brutal sides. Creeping Shadows. I don't remember seeing the model for that. Might have just missed it. Got the Croxen Beast. Cool giant crocodile. Cannot wait to put that one together. The Drowned Dead. Those zombie conquistadors. The Serpent Men Archers. I already have, I think it was a shield and a sword somewhere in my storage. I'll probably pull those out to use in conjunction with this one. All of the games of the Shadows of Brimstone are compatible, so I could pull out my cowboy models, my cowboy heroes, and fight the conquistadors, all sorts of cool stuff. Temple Guard, yeah, it's really fun to mix and match them. And Tentacles, again, I didn't see the models for these. They did come in my original Shadows of Brimstone, the Western one that I have. Then we have the hero cards, the Duelist. Fun thing about their heroes, you can have female or male. The stats are just the same for whatever aesthetic you prefer. Now, the models that came in this box, obviously, are just one or the other. El Capitan, male or female. Explorer. And Soldier. And lastly, we have the Footman. Here it is. Or, I think this side. Just showing the stats. Basically, you can have an ally by having some of these guys join you. Not entirely sure how yet. I believe that mechanic was used in one of the previous expansions, but I never got around to using it. Looks like you have to pay them for adventuring with you. Makes sense. Shows the abilities, and then upgrades. Oh, and mutations. That's neat. All right, so last thing in this box here we have are the cards. Growing Dread, the deeper that you get into the, previously it was the mine, but in this one I guess it's the swamp or the fort, you'll have to pull out Growing Dread cards, which can make it harder for you. Let's see what the first one is. Encroaching Madness. The corners of your sanity begin to fray and curl in on itself as our Trats? I have no idea. Okay. For the rest of the adventure, on any turn that the Hold Back the Darkness roll is failed, heroes may not use abilities on their starting upgrade card. Any item stat changes remain unchanged. So yeah, these basically just make it a little bit more difficult for you. We have gear cards. Some of these are starting gear. Don't think it says on here. But some of them are starting gear that each of the heroes will start with. And sometimes you'll get upgrades. You'll get to draw a gear card and add it to your inventory. Personal items. These are small little things that give your character a little bit more character. Warrior's gloves, cask, a rose, just funny little things. Sometimes they add a little bit of little bits to the character, make it easier to role play if you're into that sort of thing. Okay, item abilities, or sorry, team abilities. I am not sure exactly what these are. Maybe your team can take one upgrade or something, or get upgrades for completing missions. All right, Conquistador Soldier. And this is maybe a background that you can take. Same thing for the Explorer, the Duelist, and El Capitan. Here's the starting gear. So each of these will say which hero they go to. I actually don't see in here who's supposed to have that. I think it's on their hero cards. It'll say which ones they belong to. But that's a lot of starting gear. Scavenge. One action you can take in each of the rooms is to try and scavenge, which sometimes there's good scavenge, sometimes there is bad. Nothing here, nothing here. Something in the dark. Take D6 horror hits. So that's a bad one. Moving shadow. Glint of light. Could be some treasure or a gear artifact. Whoop. Next is the loot. I think these are the ones that I had forgotten. At the end of each combat, I believe you get one loot card, which could be some Darkstone, which is sold or used for upgrading weapons and items. Various other treasures, gold, some cool stuff. And these ones here. I think these could either be upgrades for the monsters, or there were previously some tribes and stuff that affected the monsters. They had different abilities. Some of these are just little reminder stuff. Hit types. Bounce damage, throwing the bomb or the dynamite in the previous one. What some of the other items do. And poison effect. All right, next pack of cards. Looks like this is the deck map. And I think there's something more in here. So, as I said, you start on one particular tile. There are the swamps and the Spanish fort. Once you get to the end of a tile, you will flip over a new map card, depending on where you are. And this is a T intersection, so you roll a d6. Whichever one it lands on, you start from that side. So 1 or 2, you start here. You can go either of those directions. And there's a bunch of interesting ones too. Temple courtyards. So some of them will have different effects. Advanced ancient ward watchtower. And then same thing with the Spanish fort. Elbow, straightaway, rampart. So that one's cool. It's sort of the inside of the fort, looking out with a cannon there. The same. Okay. Last deck. World cards. So sometimes it'll tell you to draw a random world card if you're going through a portal. Some of the effect of that magical warp stone is that it creates portals to other worlds. So it can send you to the swamps, Jargano. That was close. Or the Spanish fort. So you could also add these to the Western or the Japanese-based expansions, and then have your cowboys pop up in the Spanish fort. Next is the threat deck. So there are 4 different types here. There's epic, which is the most hard, most difficult. High, medium, and low. Obviously, the low ones start with real easy monsters. So this one just has 1 threat die worth of zombies. So that would be 3 zombies. Same thing with the archers. This one says just a single temple guard. Peril die. That's what it was. Peril die worth of shadow, tentacles, and that goes to the medium. So medium, it shows the same thing initially. Those are both just a single peril die. That one just says 6 archers, and that gets to D3 temple guard. Peril die +3, and then 2 peril die. So as it goes, it gets more difficult. We got peril die worth of zombies and 6 tentacles. Oh yeah, that switched. So that's into the high threat. And then finally, epic threat. So we got one of the Croxen Beast. We've got the Temple Guard and 2 low threat cards. We have 2 elite threat cards. So that would be, I believe, the opposite side. No, that's brutal. Not sure what it means by elite yet. We'll figure that out eventually. Temple Master and Honor Guard. Not sure what that is. We'll find out again. Cool. Oh, did I skip the darkness cards? Whoops. Okay. So these are, it looks like some possible options for your monsters. When you draw one of the drowned dead, you could pull one of these as well, which looks like it also increases the experience you gain for it. And it makes them a little bit more difficult. Yeah. There's some for the Serpent Archers. Temple Guard. Okay. Serpent Hunting Party. Neat. And then what are these? The Darkness. Okay. So Darkness cards can possibly pop up as you're going down the depth tracker. It's either those other cards I already saw, the Growing Dread, or Darkness. In fact, I think one of them is going down and one of them is another tracker coming back up. Can't remember which. Growing Dread is going down, and I think Darkness is basically the evil, the mutation, the monster coming out. Let's see. So, yep, another bunch of cool stuff. Let's see, we already got that. And then lastly, we have the artifacts. As you explore, like I said, for some of the scavenge, you can eventually possibly pick up an artifact. Right, these ones are Swamps of Jargano and Spanish Fort. Obviously, where you are will determine what kind of things you're going to get. Orders from the Crown. Yeah. And then encounters. I'm not sure what these are. Oh, right. Some of the map cards will have an encounter tile on it. The first time you enter one of those rooms, you will flip over, I believe you remove the encounter marker and then flip over one of these, and it tells you a sort of interesting roleplay scenario, sort of. Like this is one for Spanish Fort, Dark Halls. The very shadows in the cold keep seethe with evil, calling out to you with a hissing whisper of fame and fortune and power. If only you would step a little further into the darkness. While the hero with the lantern is on this or an adjacent map tile, the roll required to hold back the darkness is 1 higher than normal. When first revealed, all heroes may recover a grit on the d6 roll of 4+. So just some interesting, obviously, talks about the lantern and grit, and that's stuff that you'll learn as you start to explore or start to play the game or read into the rules. But some of them will require a roll. So this one, Horde of Bones. It is a lore 6+ roll required. So each character has these 6 stat cards up here: agility, cunning, spirit, strength, lore, and luck. If memory serves, because it has been a year and a half, 2 years since I played one of the other expansions, that stat determines how many dice you roll when you need to make one of those checks. So if you're making a lore roll of 3, I don't have any dice. Here they are. If you have a lore roll of 3, you get 3 dice. And if you get a 6 on one of them, you succeed. So if successful, gain 25 XP. I rolled a 5 high, so I failed. If failed, take D8 horror hits, and another random hero that has not yet made the test must do so. So then it would move on to the next character, etc. Some of these, right, this mark here means that it is a random hero. This one, I believe, means that it's one of you picks. And then there's another marker where everyone does it. That one. So there's a lot of variety in these games. It's a lot of fun. One of my biggest pet peeves in board games is if everything does not fit back in the box, which is kind of one of the biggest problems with this series of games. Right now, I could fit that all back in real easy, but with the models, once they are built, they don't quite fit in that well. And we still have all this cardboard to go through. It's a lot of markers. There's that depth tracker I was talking about. Whenever you explore a new area, you go one further down, and every round, you have to make a roll to hold back the darkness. If you fail, the darkness goes up. There is the starting tile for the Spanish fort. I don't think I'm going to go through everything that's in here right now. Just a bunch of tokens. Yeah, I'll open it. Okay, so I'm trying to not take it off, but it's just falling apart. That's okay. So depending on how many people are playing, you might get a revive token or two. That obviously revives a hero that has been taken out of action. We have some exploration tokens here, so those will go down face down. And then when you flip it over, it'll tell you an encounter ×2 or an attack or whatever else. We have lots of wound markers and a couple of map tiles. So it looks like this side is the Spanish fort and the reverse is the jungle. And it should be said that all of the map tiles are reversed. So here's more fort, more jungle. Aha, okay. I'm not sure what these tokens are up here. Whoop, can't see. But here are those tentacles. I thought this might be the case. Rather than give you models, they gave you punch outs. If you already have the models, you can substitute them in. Cool. Okay, so here's obviously another room. Looks like markers that you could use instead of the models for your allied footmen. We have a lot of items. These here are side bags. Each player can hold 5 different items in their side bag, which do various things. Bombs explode, bandages heal health. I believe rum will heal sanity. And tonic, if I remember, restores grit. Don't ask me what grit does. I don't remember. Probably a reroll or something. Another cool room. This looks like some sort of tower. There are markers that you can decide at random which one of the heroes either takes an attack or has to do something. Some dark stone, some scavenged. These markers you put down on a room after it has been scavenged because only one player can do so. We've got Spanish Armory and Training Ground. Looks like those can be added to the camp map. And I have no idea what these are for yet. All right. Here are some other things that you can find. Swamp fungus. I think that might heal a little bit. I can't remember. Sometimes you'll find rooms that they have the little jigsaw puzzle piece here. Sometimes you'll find ones that are closed off. You'll put one of these to show that you're not going anywhere, that you can't go anywhere. And sometimes you will get a portal. When you do, you'll pull out one of those world cards to go to a different world. More of the fort. Corruption. As you continue to get more of the warp stone, your body can be corrupted, getting some sort of mutations. Kind of fun. Some of them can be advantageous, some of them can be not so. Some more tokens. Holy Scripture, salted pork. Not entirely sure what those are for. Holy Scripture could be, I think in the Western one, there was a pastor who could cast spells using tokens. And then ambition might be something similar. Oh, and those shadow tokens. All right, so that is it for the box, but I do have one more little thing here. It is the Cursed Eternal Hero. So this is a bonus hero that you got for backing the Kickstarter. Go ahead and open it up. Yeah. All right, the paperwork first. Hero Pack Cursed Eternal. So you get basically a new character that you can play with new rules and abilities. That's what the ambition is for. Like a little pamphlet of how to play the character, I believe, or how to level up the character. And then these are upgrades that you can get as you level. And then there's the card, male and female. Ooh. I can't see. There are some cards. Looks like the starting equipment, as well as some of the abilities that you can take for having that character. And a new personal item. Cool. And we have some more of those ambition tokens and the Cursed Eternal Hero tokens. And lastly, the two models. It's too shiny, can't see. So basically, I think this one, where all the others are just normal soldiers and people, these ones are cursed. They have a magic sword. All right. Well, that is it for the... Hell was the name of this box? That is it for this box for the... My God. Where did I put the lid? There it is. Valley of the Serpent Kings box, as well as that Cursed Eternal Hero. Lots of cool stuff in here. These games are designed to be played by themselves. They are entirely a self-contained game. Anything you get on top of this is just a little extra icing, more variety that you can get. So considering that I have both of the old expansions, sorry, one of the original two games, and the Japan expansion, and now these two, I could play them all together for one massive game, or I can just keep them separate. I think that's what I'm going to do for now, just so I can hopefully get to experience it as itself. When I got the Japan expansion, I added it immediately, and it all got messed up. So for now, I'm just going to play these ones separate. All right. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream for now. I'm going to organize my desk, and then I'm going to pull out the next one, Gates of Valhalla, which is what I am most looking forward to. All right. Thank you for watching. Take care.